Welcome to The Lounge, the Her Lounge that is, where we share laughter, life experiences, and heart-to-heart dialogue. I am Lynn.
I'm Jonah.
I'm Pauletta.
I'm Queasy.
And we are
your four best new girlfriends.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Welcome to the Her Lounge, where we connect with you through laughter, life experiences, and heart-to-heart dialogue. Listen. Are you listening? Listen. Today, we're talking about something that I think is so pivotal and so good. Why did you shrink in that room? And I don't know about you all. I immediately began to think about rooms that I shrunk in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And these were not rooms that were necessarily filled with people.
Right.
Sometimes it may have been a room with just one person.
Yeah.
Or just a few people. But I think the shrinkage was attributed to by my feeling like I didn't belong in the room.
Of course.
Or I wasn't qualified to be in the room. Or how am I in this room?
Right.
You know, all of those type of things. So this is going to be really good. Because I think we shrink in different rooms. We shrink in relationship rooms.
Mm-hmm.
We shrink in corporate rooms.
Oh, yeah.
We shrink in spiritual rooms. We shrink in family rooms. You know, I have always said families have hierarchy. They do. Every family has hierarchy. Yeah. Every family compartmentalizes every family unit that's a part of the family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's one unit in the family that's the it group.
Yep.
Then you got another part of the family that's the part that everybody look down on, or you know they got the baddest
sheep.
kids,
the black sheep.
You know,
yeah.
or you know they're not expected to be, you know, to do much. So you know, and I mean families may not admit that, but it's true.
It's true.
It's true that every family unit inside of that unit are smaller units that we compartmentalize. Yeah. You know, and a lot of times it's according to what people have materially, or their successful accomplishments, or the parents, or how the grandparents viewed the parents.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, and then that parents' children and grandchildren are viewed however the parent viewed that parent. You know, because I know a lot of people say, I don't show favoritism in my children. You know, whatever, but a lot of times there is favoritism, or we treat our children according to how they show up.
Yep.
You know, so and what they do. If that was a child that caused you a whole lot of trouble, or, you know, so it's just, you know, so how you show up in a room has everything to do, I believe, also with what kind of room you was born into.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So, you know, I just believe that. So, Queasy, you know, you are our resident
statistician.
So give us some statistics about shrinking.
Okay, so you know the young people say, "Let me cook." So I gotta.
I didn't know that.
What?
That's
I didn't either. What is it?
Let me cook. So I got a few things.
What that mean?
What does that mean?
Flag on the plate.
You don't know what that means?
No.
Enlighten us. Let me help you understand. I couldn't exactly find things about shrinking in a room, so that means I'm gonna have to get things that are similar to it. So give me a chance to cook. That means let me put it together. Let me put all the ingredients.
Let me cook.
Let me cook.
I like it.
Okay. So
I'm gonna use that.
Let
me go ahead and cook something.
Let me cook. Hey, don't say it like that now. But you gotta say let me cook.
Yeah, now don't put some with it, see?
Because your children gonna talk about you.
That's when you know you feel it cuss, when you go to add stuff
yeah,
to
you
it.
gotta say
let me go on and
cook.
Yeah.
Okay, so shrinking in the room, it is very similar to imposter syndrome, anxiety.
Oh, that's good.
Come on.
Right? So when it comes to statistics, per mentalhealth.org, in 2022-2023, an average of 37.1% of women and 29.9% of men reported high levels of anxiety. So an estimated 31.1% of U.S. adults experience anxiety disorder at some time in their lives, and that's per NIMH.gov. About 1 in 6 adults aged 18 and over experienced symptoms of anxiety in the past 2 weeks that were either mild or moderate. So that means recently They're just making a estimate of how many people deal with anxiety. Here's what really stood out to me about anxiety. When Lynn said it at the beginning, that sometimes anxiety, that shrinking in the room also relates to relationships. So playing it small and safe in life and in a relationship can be like a low-grade fever per ChristySpencer.com. It says it's slow moving like an infection. You don't really realize it's happening until you actually go for a checkup and discover it's there. You've been puttering along just fine, but the damage is happening and something must be done before it gets serious. It says if you're holding back and dimming your light out of fear that you may be too bold, say or do the wrong thing, be rejected, or rock that boat, you're shrinking yourself and your life, as well as denying the world and yourself your true, amazing light. And she went on to talk about how she dimmed herself in a relationship, and she said what she did not realize is that relationship didn't work, but the person had fell in love with the authentic person that she was from the beginning. And because she tried to dim and not to seem like too much, it didn't work because she became what she thought that person wanted. So I felt like that was really, really, really good. Also, imposter syndrome per womenshealthmag.com. Imposter syndrome is the faulty feeling of not measuring up, or that you don't really deserve a compliment or accomplishment. And we just kind of talked about that before it started, that a lot of times we just don't feel like we don't know how to just say thank you. Imposter syndrome said, no, I looked at myself before I came and I didn't see what you saw. So it says, why do people try to take up less space? These are 3 things that I felt was really good. To avoid showing weakness. People may feel vulnerable when expressing their emotions or wants, so they hide them away to avoid appearing weak. Then you have to avoid getting hurt. Some people may take up less space to avoid getting hurt. This might be because they do not want to get shouted at for voicing their wants or opinions, or because they have been manipulated in the past. The last one is a lack of confidence. Those who grew up being told that their opinions and feelings don't matter, max their wants and needs, and restrict the amount of space that they take up. Low self-esteem is also one of the main reasons people take up less space than they deserve. And they said many people, this is the last thing that I say, and this is from Chiron Clinics. Many people who have experienced trauma consistently undermine their own needs, emotions, and wants. They often believe that this will inherently give them more worth as they sacrifice their desires for other people. They may also struggle to look at themselves and refuse to acknowledge that they deserve help or support, as they do consider themselves not worth it. So shrinking.
I'm sorry, go back.
Okay.
Give them 3 again.
Okay, the 3. Let me go back. So this is why people take up less space: to avoid showing weakness,
Okay.
to avoid getting hurt, and a lack of confidence. So trying to shrink yourself and take up less space than you need, than deserve, have many people in a very odd position now. You go in rooms and you just shrink. And I know for myself, sometimes I've shrunk. There have been different phases of shrinking now. There have been times where I would shrink just because I didn't want the accountability, because sometimes when people find out you're good at something, they use you, And there have been times where I just didn't show how good I was at a thing because I didn't want to do the work,
That's
But there have also been times where I would shrink in a room just because I didn't feel worthy, like we talked about earlier, of being in that room. I didn't want to be too much. I didn't want to seem like I knew too much. I would rather somebody else shine than me. So kind of what I feel like we're going to end up balancing in this is, how do you not shrink but shine? How do you, find that balance between, knowing that you still have things to learn, but still showing up as your authentic self in every situation. So I know this conversation gonna take us far, but I cooked a little bit, so I just
Yes,
need
you did.
That's
good.
good.
some more ingredients.
That is so good.
You cooked.
We cooked a little bit, so
Ain't
I
over here roasting is you.
I love this
One on
topic
Dirty
because I
Michelin
think
star.
it's gonna touch so many people
It
where
is.
they are.
It is.
Because it got me. It really did get me.
Pauletta,
Wow.
Pauletta's our resident counselor. Like, one thing Queasy said that stood out to me is when she was saying, I didn't find anything that necessarily spoke to shrinking,
Yes.
but I found so many relatable things where,
Yes.
you know, I could put it together and make a meal out of it. Is shrinking anxiety? And is that what it is? When I'm shrinking, is that anxiety? Like, what is it? And how does that relate to shrinking? Is that shrinking? You know, like the whole gamut. How does that relate to that?
I don't know. I think it is the shrinking is a result of having anxiety. I think we can almost say that shrinking is an anxiety attack. You know, I think that I know for me, I shrink in rooms for two main reasons. One, I'm an introvert, and two, my self-esteem. Like I don't feel like I have anything to contribute to the conversation, or, you know, that especially if I'm in an academic arena, you know, I will, even like I was just at a JAG conference, and
What's JAG?
JAG stands for Jobs for America's Graduates. That's what that's my title.
Okay.
And so we were at JAG, Jobs for America's Graduates, or Jobs for Alabama's Graduates.
Okay.
JAG.
Okay.
You had an F in there, so I was trying to figure out. Well, go ahead.
So I went to the conference, and I went to the conference, and everybody was sitting at tables, and there was one table where nobody was sitting at, and I went to that table.
Wow.
I went to that table, and it's because like and this has only happened the older I've gotten, that I've really, like, when I get in like social arenas, if I don't know anybody, like I'm gonna be by myself, and I'm gonna shrink.
Yeah.
Now, somebody may come over to the table, and I'll engage them and everything, but I'm not gonna initiate anything. I'm not gonna initiate anything. And so I think, you know, with that anxiety, people have anxiety because they can't control the situation. Yeah. And so when you can't control the situation, it causes you to panic. So you get into this room, and you can't control what's going on in the room. Wow. You know, I don't know, Queese in the room, Juna, Lynn is not in the room. So like, I just go into this, shell. Yeah. You know, and then, you know, people will be like, wait a minute, well, that's Pauletta Brown. She's a doctor. She's a minister, da, 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 da. But what they see is not who I am. So it becomes like you said, finding that balance where like I can stand 10 toes down and be comfortable. Right. You know, and not be overbearing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then it also, and without being churchy, there's also a part of me that in somewhere in the Bible, in the New Testament, it talks about how be called up, don't go up. It's rather to be, you know, asked to come up than to be asked to sit down. Right. So there's just so many things, you know, and even like a friend of mine had, I was working, she had an anxiety attack about a week or so ago. And it was because she was in a meeting, and it was a bunch of superintendents in the meeting, and like she was the only teacher. And she was just like, the whole time, like I was trying to coach her through, like, hey, you're going to be fine, I'm telling you. And she's just like, no, Pauletta, like I have no bed. I'm like, they asked you to be there. Right. You know, but it's crazy how even sometimes you're invited someplace that you'll still shrink in the room.
You're still shrinking. Yeah.
And I think some of that is tied to, like you said, self-esteem. And that self-esteem is built in childhood. Yeah. So it's possible that some of the reasons why, you know, I'm shrinking in this room is because I was shrunk in the room as a child. Yeah. You know, and so that means that I need to go back and deal with this childhood trauma so that I can, would you say, rise and shine?
Can I ask you a question while you're right there? Like, because to me, a lot of times when it comes to imposter syndrome, it's an inward thing. But to me, it's so loud. And other people are like, no, you seem confident and you seem blah, blah. But there are parts of that I feel like people don't see, that even though on your level of comfort, you see that I'm confident. But when I know that I've been called to more, it may seem silent to you. Because a lot of times when people have anxiety attacks, you don't know they're having them. But it shows up in different ways. So why is it such an inward thing, such a almost a silent thing, but it affects you so powerfully?
Like earlier when Juna was like, "Oh, your hair looks nice." You know, instantly my first response is, "Oh, like this is an old hairstyle." One, because I'm not used to getting compliments. And I know it's like, I know that sounds crazy, but because I'm not used to getting compliments and I don't feel like it is, you know, fresh and new, like I'll automatically dismiss it. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that, but again, that's internal. So when she said, "No, say thank you," like, I'm like, okay. like there was a slight anxiety, but you know what I'm saying? Because I was like, okay, thank you. You know, even though I still don't feel what she said.
Okay.
Now,
I still don't feel what Juna said, you know? And that doesn't mean, now there are times when I feel like, oh, okay, you know, like I have a drum line behind me, but those are few and far between.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know, then.
now, Pauletta,
More
I did not Debo you. I didn't say thank you.
You did.
Beat you down, beat him down. I didn't come at you like that.
How'd you say it?
I said, say thank you. That's what I said.
She said that was a difference in the tone.
Okay, let me say this, June. Let me say this. And I ain't even talking about that because shoot, you got me too. So I'm not gonna say that. I'm just gonna be quiet about that part. Say thank you, Lynn. Okay, thank you. You know, but that's so powerful to me because I don't think I've ever had anybody that I've ever dated and been with that hasn't said to me, "Why you just can't say thank you?" I'm talking about I have heard that so much from different people that I've dated. Really? Yep. You know, like always, you know, like whenever somebody say you're so beautiful, I'm always gonna be like, ugh. Or
But
you
why
know,
though? Why do you think?
I don't know. This is why I'm gonna segue into this
Yeah.
to ask you this. And I think as I've gotten older, let me say this. Let me go all the way back to when I first started going to New Life, something that I didn't even realize that I did. I was like 19 when I started going to New Life. I used to walk my head down. I used to walk looking down at the floor. Literally. I used to walk looking down at the floor. Maybe the reason why I fall all the time. But anyway, I'm trying to help myself.
that's
I'm
a
trying to
whole
help myself.
different
I'm trying to help
episode.
myself. Let me
different
help.
episode.
Let me help me. Let me cook my
Go
own
ahead and cook, so.
right?
Go ahead.
But I did, and I remember vividly one thing that Pastor Matthews, and I give him complete credit for this. He started saying to me, and every time that he would see me, and I might remind him of this when I see him again, he used to take my chin and say, "Hold your head up," all the time.
Wow.
And he used to say, "Stop walking with your head down." I didn't even realize that I had been doing that.
Right.
You hear me? I didn't never realize that I walked with my head down. Yeah. Because walking with my head down was common.
And comfortable.
Because I had never saw it as abnormal.
Right.
Okay? Now, when I dissect it, it's connected to how much I was bullied when I was young. Yeah. Okay? It's connected to that. You know, because
So
a
you
lot of
hiding
times
when you would do
when
this.
I was bullied and talked about, I would just look down. And it became a part of me.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize it. And it was, you all right, Pauletta? Ooh.
You know, when you,
And when I tell you, you going down, down, baby, down, down the roller coaster, sweet, sweet.
you know, when you start talking about you getting bullied, I just
bang, bang. You gone, baby. I see you sinking emotionally. As I'm talking.
me, guy.
But, and it goes back to what you were saying about childhood, but I'm telling you, every guy, I call their names, I can tell you everyone has said, why you just can't say thank you? When I tell you beautiful, why you got to say, why you got to say, go on now, or why you got to do that? Just say thank you.
And that's hard. But
I had to learn that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I still haven't mastered it.
Yeah.
I still haven't mastered it. I still haven't mastered saying
thank you.
thank you. Okay? All right?
Paulette,
And-
hold on. Paulette, you said something was hard. What's hard?
What I was gonna say is and going back, I think it's because my first boyfriend, my father, never told me that I was pretty. he never told me that I was smart. So because that foundation, and coming from someone who was adopted, so I was already deemed not worthy enough to be kept. So here,
Ooh, that's powerful.
the father,
Wait a minute.
Now she going down. Come back, June. Whew, 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 whew. That's CPR.
so
No, for real. You said
No,
it was from your
wow.
beginning.
yeah. So because
Come on. I'm ready. I'm here with you. I'm right here. Come on, keep talking.
so, you know, coming from that, then to being placed in a family where
I wasn't affirmed.
I
even
wasn't
the more.
affirmed, I wasn't validated. It's unusual to hear, you're pretty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that it's that childhood trauma.
It wasn't unusual for me. And I'm be honest with you. And I ain't saying that to be like cocky.
Right,
I'm
right,
just being honest
right,
with you.
right.
Because I've heard it.
Yeah, I've heard it.
Right.
I've heard it. But I never heard it from who I needed to hear it from.
Right.
I can remember
And that's why I did
vividly
that.
one time I was with my dad. I was younger, much younger, and I was with my dad. And I can't even remember where we were. But he was like, this is my daughter. And everybody was saying, oh, Lee, you got such a pretty daughter. Oh, she's so pretty, blah, 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 blah. I remember vividly turning around to my daddy and saying, do you think I'm pretty? I remember saying that.
Wow.
Yes. Because everybody was saying, oh, man, Lee, your daughter's so pretty. She's so pretty. Oh, Lee, you got a beautiful daughter. Like so many people where I was, this is their first time ever seeing me. All right? And I remember vividly turning to him and saying, do you think I'm pretty? And he was like, it threw him off. He was like, yeah. Like, but it was real. Like, yeah. And it was only because I asked.
They can't.
But I remember that, and I remember how it never mattered to me. And it's amazing how even now, and we have these conversations all the time about how powerful perception is. And how people, because we talk about it, I was like, people perceive me as being a certain way, and they have no idea that I'm really nothing like they think I am. You know what I'm saying? People will perceive you a certain way based off of a physical thing.
Yeah.
Or what they think you look, you know, or how you feel about yourself. And that's really not even how I felt. And let me go even further. I never felt that way about myself. Never. Do I think I'm ugly? Absolutely not. I don't think I'm ugly. But I've never been the person that just, I'm pretty.
Right.
I've never felt that way about myself.
Yes.
Never. Okay? But, and I'm saying that to say, it goes back to what you were saying, to segue into what I'm finna ask you.
Okay.
So here I am. That comes from childhood. We're aware of. A lot of times we shrink in rooms because we were never made to matter in rooms when we were little. Especially our culture has been taught, you say what I tell you to say, you do what I tell you to do, and if you got an opinion, I give it to you.
That's it.
You understand?
That's it.
Our voices wasn't valued. What we thought, how we felt, none of that was valued. In reference to today, a lot of parents will say, it's okay to feel how you feel.
Right.
They will tell their children that.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel how you feel, but A, B, C, D. They allow their children to express their feelings. They allow their children to say what they don't like. They allow them to have choices. You know what I'm saying? And that, the way that we were raised, was really connected to a slave mentality.
Of course.
Of you don't have an opinion. You don't have a, you don't have a voice. You
And
do
you
what I tell
only
you to
speak
do.
when you are
And you
spoken
speak
to.
when you're spoken to.
Be seen and not heard.
Yeah, all of that, I think we don't realize how much that has attributed to us shrinking. Okay, now let's start there. That's from childhood. Okay, so here I am now as an adult who has a son and a best friend who consistently tells me, you don't know who you are. They tell me this all the time. You don't know who you are. My son tell me this all the time. I be like, what do you mean? Like, how do I not know? What am I doing?
Right.
That's translating to you as I don't know who I am. And we've had those conversations. Mom, I'm telling you, you have no idea. Even so, as long as, as far back as 2 weeks ago, Mama, you a catch. I don't think you realize, Mom, you a catch. Because we'll have conversations like that. Okay? So now here I am, Juna, doing the work.
Okay.
So even though I'm putting in the work, even though in some areas I put in the work to believe I belong in the places and spaces that I believe God is placing me, what happens that even in the fact that I've done that work, I'm doing that work, there is still a room, not all rooms, but there are still some rooms that I may be invited into that immediately when I walk in that room, I feel I shrink. Speak to that. Is it the room?
I think shrinking, the motivation or the reason behind shrinking is what's going to determine whether or not it's a good shrink versus a bad shrink. Okay.
Because you're saying all shrinking ain't bad.
All shrinking, well, shrinking, we're using that word, right? But sometimes what would be because it's something that you normally do all the time or you have done, and it feels familiar that it's happening again. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's motivated by the same thing that it was motivated
in another room.
In another room. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's the reason. Sometimes you once you've done and it's also not to say that it is the reason. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I'll say for me, I've done my work. I've done my work, and one thing that set me on fire was when Coach Carter came out. Y'all remember Coach Carter?
The lady?
No, Coach Carter. The movie.
Yes. Ooh,
Coach
like
Carter came out, and there was a poem that Samuel L. Jackson's character told the young man who was just wayward and he was going back and forth, and but there was a poem that he told him, and it was called Our Deepest Fear. And it says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightening about shrinking, so that other people won't feel insecure or unsure around you. We were born to manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it is in everyone. So as we let our own light shine, we consciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And so for me, this changed my life.
Good.
This changed my life because I was one that would shrink because I didn't want anybody to say, oh, she thinks she know everything. She did this, that, and the third, or who she thinks she is, and because I did not grow up with prestige and have those generational relationships and generational connections. You know where I'm going? And my mother and my father were not pastors, and I wasn't second and third generation anything, other than human. Okay. But I wasn't that. But God had graced me to be in these rooms and in these different, connected with these different people. And so, but I did develop my craft and my talent. You know what I mean? And opportunity put me in the room. Grace and opportunity set me in the room. And because I had done my work as far as my skill development, making sure that confidence and stuff like that, I belonged in those rooms. But it wasn't but even going in, I would slide in.
What you do?
I would slide in. I wouldn't show up.
I get it.
Yeah. Not in your football self.
They would have to, even though I was
just finna say, sometimes instead of us showing up with what we know we have, we slide in and we depend on the people to recognize what we got.
And to pull it out.
And to pull it out. and so at one point I was going into rooms not feeling like I was going in feeling inadequate. Now I go in to kind of survey the land. Because one thing I don't do is cast my pearl before swine. Because I don't.
No, for real.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm going in and I'm quiet but I'm surveying and seeing what's here and is it worth me shining in this room? You know what I mean? Is it going to be worth it? What's the benefit? What's the value in, even though it's a room I'm going into, right? And it can be, I believe I belong in any room I'm in. I believe that. I believe it. But there are some times in those rooms where it's not safe. It's not safe to
let yourself just shine.
Let yourself just shine. And I think that exercising some caution, which is really my personality. That's just my personality. And I found that out. I did an Enneagram. Those of you do an Enneagram, and you'll kind of figure out how you're wired. But anyway, I proceed with caution naturally. That's just me. It's not that I'm shrinking.
Me too.
I'm just cautious. And so, but once I get in and I've surveyed the land and saw, okay, so this is safe. When in those moments, if I don't show up, then that in that moment can be identified as shrinking.
I get it.
You understand what I'm saying?
I get it.
But when called upon,
I'm gonna show up.
Okay. Okay. But the reason, but like I was saying, the reason behind it,
that's good,
has everything to do with you being honest. You can answer why you did that and why you responded in that way to that room.
Yeah, because honestly, there are some things I know I got.
Yeah.
And you could never convince me that I don't have. But I think safety with me is I'd rather that you discover me instead of me walking in the room introducing myself.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? Instead of me watching, because it's like work, for instance. I've been doing a lot of speaking stuff and things like that because of campaigns and stuff that we have going on. And, I'm never going to say what I do, or what I've done or anything like that. And so, once I started like going on interviews and doing TV stuff, they're like, oh my God, Andrea. And inside of myself, I'm just like, because I'm not going to tell you that I've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
That this ain't new to me.
Right.
That all these stations y'all got me going to, I've been on them multiple times in the last 15, 20. This ain't bragging. This just the gospel truth. I.e., I do this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not with a cockiness.
Right.
I'm not nervous. I've been doing it too long.
Right.
Because even my one of my managers was like, man, you just was so natural. You was just so calm. Because I do this. I've been doing this. First of all, I get up every Sunday and speak to hundreds of people. Okay? So, I do this what I do. Right. But I've been doing this a long time. Right. But sometimes you have to allow people to discover your ability. Because sometimes they don't think that you can do. Or they think that sometimes people automatically assume everybody that they encounter that you got to teach them something. Everything I don't have to be taught. Right. Because some things I already know. But, I'd rather you find that out about me.
Right.
Instead of me come in and just saying, oh, I'd have been to Channel 6 15 times.
Right.
I ain't got to say that.
Right.
When you see me on Channel 6,
You're going to know.
You're going to know. Yeah. And so I can't remember that doggone saying or commercial, whatever, that just stopped and says, you're going to know. You're going to know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You're going to know. That just in my head when I said that. So I think sometimes that's where my safety is. I feel because for so long people have perceived me to be something I'm not. I have so busy tried to make sure I don't show up
Yep.
as what they've had a perception of
Right.
me to be.
But that's not you though.
But I'm just telling you
Right.
the truth. I'm trying to make sure that I don't show up as she thinks she. Because people really think I think that.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate. You understand? I'm just gonna be honest. And there are so many people who will miss the blessing of experiencing you based on conversations with insecure people about you.
yeah.
I can't tell you how many times that I've been preaching and I know I'm preaching in a room with somebody that had a conversation with somebody that don't care for me. And I could see it happening in real time that the person who listening to me is like, she nothing like what they say. Yeah, because now what has happened is you're getting to experience me in versus hearing about me from somebody. Right? And one thing that I've learned about, and this is a little term, but I'm going to bring it back. One thing I've learned is when a seed about you has already been sold into somebody, you will never be able to uproot that. Because the truth of the matter is,
the seats.
you're waiting for me to be what somebody told you I was. And even when something happens, that it really ain't that I'm being what they said, but whatever is happening is messing with your own insecurity. You're going to immediately pinpoint that as I'm what that person told you I was. Because the truth is, I cannot uproot the seed that has already been sown into you about me. So this is what I've learned. I'm not ever again going to try to be in a relationship, cultivate or build anything with anybody that already has groundwork laid about me before they get to know me. Because I'm working against myself. Unless God tell me different. Because the truth of the matter is the whole entire time I'm thinking it's a friendship, but I'm really convincing you. Trying to convince you that I'm not what somebody said. And I've spent all this time what I thought was building, when actuality I'm convinced. Am I making sense?
You're making a lot
I'm
of
convincing
sense.
you.
Yep.
Because I already believe Juna thinks she too much. Before I even experienced Juna, I've already had in my brain, in my ear gate, sewn. Juna thinks she all that. You can't tell Juna that. Juna this, Juna that, Juna that. And so even though I'm experiencing Juna, and the Juna I'm experiencing looks nothing like the Juna that has been sown in my heart, the moment Juna do one thing
It's gonna
that shakes my own personal insecurity,
It's gonna go back.
I'm going to instantly connect it to what somebody already sold in my
Already
heart
sold
about
it.
you.
Yep.
You know, so I've learned this. I'm not trying to work against that anymore. Am I making sense?
making a whole
Because
lot
you
of
really
sense.
wasting your time. You know what I mean? Because it's hard to
You won't
uproot
knowingly.
seed,
You won't knowingly do it.
especially if the seed was sown by somebody that person values. Because never once and never ever are they going to ever consider that the person they value was wrong. They ain't going to think about that.
Yeah.
They going to automatically think just based on longevity is you.
Right. Yeah.
That there's no way that there could be some insecurity in the person that said that.
Right.
They're going to always believe that is you. Because that person got more history. And there are so many people who have not walked into spaces, places, rooms because they've allowed people that they have longevity with
That's the truth.
to destroy the possibility of people they can have futures with. Because we have to learn that different people fit different spaces and places and the seasons in our lives.
Right.
And sometimes we hold on to stuff past its expiration date out of loyalty. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just being
Yes,
serious.
you're telling the truth.
And so, you know, what I've learned, saying all that to say this, what I've learned about me is my biggest reason for shrinking is because I always wanted people to see that I wasn't what people have said or what people have thought or what people have perceived about me. So I came in the room quiet because I came in the room so busy trying to convince the people in the room that I wasn't who people were saying that I am.
Now I'll say this.
And I'm just being honest.
Yeah, but I'll say this though, because there have been things said about me, right? About that's true. Okay, so
I mean, I'm sure there's things that's been said about all of us that's got some truth.
No. I'm saying about, you know how people say she thinks she all that, she thinks she this, she think. I do, you know, but the thing
but
about
not
it is,
in an arrogant
but
way,
not,
though.
right? But that's what I'm saying.
I think that way because this goes back to what you said. I put in the work.
I put in the work. So you're not going to make me listen. I know what it feels like to be my movement to be dictated by low self-esteem.
Come on.
I have put in the work to make sure that I think soberly about myself, that I am aligning my thoughts with what God says about me, and what I see. I see I am a reflection of His goodness. Deal with it, okay?
No,
so
for real.
I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm not going to shrink. Now, I have a tendency to be loud, okay? Now, and so I think it's important that that sometimes I do shrink, okay? Because, you know, I can be loud. So, okay, bring it down a bit. I'm going to do that. But as far as me not being who I
fought
am,
too hard to get this.
too hard to get here. And I make no apologies. And the reality is that if you release some of that insecurity that you have, you'll begin to shine because you'll begin to shine too, because the reality is that light is infectious. You understand what I'm saying? Light is infectious. And I feel God.
Ooh, I'm telling you, it's a shift in the room. Like,
I feel God.
For real.
But light is infectious, and so I have a responsibility
to
shine. I got a responsibility, and I got a responsibility to you to shine. I got a responsibility to you. I got a responsibility to you. We have a responsibility to each other.
Listen, can I grab that?
Yeah.
Because how I show up in the room has everything to do with how I make the people in the room feel about themselves.
Make this space brave. You understand what I'm saying? Make this a brave space, not a safe space. Make it brave.
So darn
because
good.
if you show up good, if you show up shining, then I'ma want to shine. Then somebody else will want to shine. Shining will become infectious as opposed to, she thinks she all that. Now guess what's going to, she thinks she all that. She thinks she all. That's,
and I'm not showing up in every
we
room.
feed
Listen to
off
this.
of each other.
I'm not showing up in every room like, okay, yeah, she thinks she all that. If it's a room about, let me see what I don't know nothing about. Directions. Because I struggle with directions. If I show up in a room about maps and GPSs,
geography,
I'm not coming in there with that level of confidence because I know that there are some things I don't know. So therefore, when I come in that room, not that I'm coming in that room small, but I'm coming in that room teachable.
Yeah.
All right. But if you bring me in the preaching room, and I ain't saying can't nobody tell me nothing in the preaching room, I want you to hear me. If you bring me in the mama room, because I know I'm a good mama. Okay. If you bring me in the loyalty room, if you bring me in the integrity room,
right,
I'm coming in with a certain amount of confidence because I understand what I bring to the table in those rooms. I understand what I fought for to get there and to be able to be in those rooms. So understand every room,
right?
You understand I may not show up at the same level, but the rooms that I know, I'm coming in there like I'm supposed to be in there. And that's the thing that I think people miss. You know what I'm saying? Like you were saying, no, I'm not shrinking because I paid to be in this room. Not money, but with my life, with my experience, with my time, with my investment. So I suppose
I'm supposed to be here.
to be
I'm
here.
supposed to be
You
here.
know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
totally
and
know
I've
what you're
got to
saying.
show up.
Like
Actually,
I'm
I'm doing God a disservice. It's like the parable of the talents.
Right. And also because I'm showing up, I'm empowering you to do the same. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
And
Quincy about to run.
I'm actively empowering you to do the same. You know what I'm saying? I'm showing up. I think I am gorgeous. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna
And
compliment
what is
everything
wrong
in here.
with that?
I'm
What
gonna
is
compliment
wrong with
everything in here. Oh, I like this. Oh,
I'm
I
not
like you.
so
Oh, you look so
complimented.
pretty. Oh,
Yeah.
I saw this. Oh, you
Me
so
too.
I'm always
I
complimenting.
am going to do it.
You're gonna do
You
it.
understand me? Why? Because I believe that about me.
Because you
so
believe it.
so because I believe that about me,
I
don't
believe
have
that
any-
about you. And I don't have no
And I
problem with
mean it.
sowing that into you.
Exactly, and
don't
I
have a
mean
problem.
it, and I mean it from
Oh,
my
that's
heart.
good.
And I say this too.
and you
Julie.
better take it. Say thank you.
I'll say this too. Exposure is everything, because there were several rooms that I showed up in and it looked beautiful hearing it from other people. And I started saying what they were saying, but I didn't
gosh.
mean it. But I kept showing up until now.
Yeah.
I really
I
do
got the
believe, but when
revelation.
I was in there at first, it looked beautiful coming out your mouth. And I even quoted what you said.
Yeah.
But until I got to that place within myself,
Yeah.
Revelation.
got to revelate that I really do deserve to be here. Like I honestly didn't see what you saw. I didn't see the greatness in me. I didn't see. All I saw is that I do this good and let me stay here. But you got to be willing to go to some rooms and be stretched.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it may feel like you're shrinking because you don't feel comfortable there.
Yeah.
But it's stretching you. It's pulling you beyond what you've been exposed to before. So it's necessary that you be
Right.
stretched so that you can realize that there is something in you that's been shining or needs to be shining, or other people see in you that you don't see. Because
Right.
I didn't see it. I heard you, but I didn't see that. I'm like,
Right.
why you keep calling me? Especially Lynn. Like, why you keep calling me in
Hey,
this room?
hey,
No,
hey.
I was like, what do you see in me? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But me keep showing up because I believed in her.
Yeah.
Right? Because
that's
I kept
powerful.
showing up.
Because I believed in the one that called me to the room.
Come on.
Wait
the
a
one
minute.
that-
Let me tell you something. When I went to Bishop's birthday, okay? I went to Bishop's birthday. It's all kind of people in this room. All right. I mean, if I called their names, you know, everybody in the room know them well, you know, from platforms, great platforms. So I walk in the room. First of all, when I walk in, Lady Lisa was at the table and she just started jumping up and down. It's a video of it, but I've never posted it. It's a video of it. She just jumping up and down. My people here, my people here, my people here. Well, when I get in this room, who I know is going to be famous people in this room, I never was expecting to be seated in the front of the room. Right? So I get in the room and she was like, oh, I know where you sit. You know, and somebody was taking me to my seat. Very front table. So I'm first of all instantly like, okay, they must really do love me. Okay. That's number one. Number two, when I went to Queenology, my first time ever going to Queenology. All right. Here I go, doing what Paula to do. I walked in the room, people are already sitting. I got down there a little late. I walked in the room. The lady at the desk was like, it ain't no assigned seats or anything, Pastor Gates, you know, just see where I said, okay. Instantly, I go to the empty table in the very back of the room because I'm an introvert too now. So that introvert in me is like, child, you know, I sit all by myself, no big deal. Well, like Lisa turns around, sees me, and she grabs me and said, come on. And I was like, where I'm going? She don't play with you, right? So she was like, come on. So she walked me right up to the head table. And it was nothing but like 5 seats at the table. And all of them were filled except one. She sat me in the seat. Before I sat in the seat, I held the back of the seat. I looked at her. I said, you sure this way you want me to sit? She was like, yes. Like she was frustrated that I asked. Right? And I was just like, okay. You know, so I'm sitting here. Mama Blake's sitting there. Then when you bring me to Mama Blake's, you say, look who we got, surprise for you. You don't even never realize how people see you, think about you, nothing. This was maybe a few weeks after I had preached in New Orleans. Okay? And so Sitting up there, as Bishop gets up top, he introduces everybody, introduces me. And I'm sitting up here. I'm so uncomfortable. Because I'm just like, why am I'm up here? And I guarantee you there's people out there who probably thinking, you belong there, but you in the seat, wondering why you there.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying? And so even in that, I shrunk. Oh my God, I heard that. I hear that, Lord. I shrunk, seated. Right? Am I making sense?
You making a whole lot.
Even though he seated me somewhere special, I still shrunk. I shrunk in an invited space and place. I didn't ask to be up there. I didn't walk in the room and sit up there. I didn't run up there. I didn't go up there and say, I know I'm in the front. Well, front seat that. Nope. I sat in the back.
Right.
Because one thing about me, I don't believe you always need to take advantage of access that you've been told you have.
Me too.
I still believe in following protocol, and you tell me that no, I ain't got to do that. And you may have to tell me that multiple times because I don't ever want to get so comfortable with you. Yes. Okay, and so because you have to keep that space in between you and leadership. Yes. But still, even though he sat me in the seat. The whole entire time I'm sitting in the seat, I'm still not comfortable with being in the daggum seat. Do y'all hear me?
I hear you.
But I'm in the seat.
In the seat.
You occupying the space. You've been placed there, not X there. But still
it
internally inside of yourself.
Yep.
You are still the whole entire time wrestling.
Why am I here?
With why am I here? Not realizing, girl, you realize all the hell you've been through and you never quit. Do you realize how rejected you've been by your family? Not the street folks. I got family that live in so close proximity to my church, they've never visited. And they never will. They never, and that's okay.
It's okay.
But I'm trying to tell you, majority of my support come from strangers.
Yeah. Jesus went to the own
all right, which I understand how Jesus felt because you feel if you really love your people, you want your people to benefit from where God is taking you more than anything.
Yeah.
But having to come to the grips with that your people won't even get the greatest benefit, not because it's available to them, but because they still struggling with why God chose you. Because the truth of the matter is, you came from Nazareth too. And why he chose you? Because I lived in the same house with you in the Holler, Lynn. You came from the Holler. Glasgow Holler. You came from Glasgow Holler. Why? We came from the same place, same space.
Yeah.
Same neighborhood. There, a lot of people will never receive you because they can't understand why it's you. They will go and clap for somebody they don't know, who doing the same exact thing you're doing. Because it's somebody that they don't, because that person's blessings never makes them look at themselves. Because the truth of the matter is, their problem with you ain't you. Their problem with you is watching you makes them look at them. Because there's a lot of times we don't realize what we're doing is we're doing it by default. Let me be honest with you. I don't believe I was ever supposed to be here in this space, in this place. I don't. I believe I'm here by default. I do. What people don't realize is God's going to get his mission accomplished. So this whole song of what God has for me, it's for me. Listen, what if me never rise to do what he said?
Come on.
He said, my word ain't coming back to me void. Period. It's going to accomplish what it got to if I got to tag somebody else in as it.
Come on, Donkey.
It's going to get done.
Hello, Donkey.
Okay? I really believe, and I may be wrong, but I'm telling you what I believe with every fiber of my being, that I was tagged.
All right.
I don't think I was the original it. And sometimes people hate you because you were bold enough to do what they wasn't. Because to really trust God takes a lot of courage.
Yeah.
It does. You gotta have some gangster in you to obey God, because you got to do it in the face of people, mouths, your own second guessing of yourself. You gotta smile when you're hurting. You gotta show it when you don't. It ain't easy. And sometimes people hate the courage that you have to do something that they never had the courage to do. It takes courage to do this stuff.
Yeah.
It takes courage. And sometimes people hate you because you are doing what they never had the courage to do. And I mean, I could be very wrong. There may be people who say, no, Lynn, I believe you were born for this. I believe I was born for something. But I don't necessarily know if it was this in particular.
This is obedience.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah.
But I do believe that because somebody didn't rise,
Oh.
that I was tagged. I do believe it. You know what I'm saying? Because God knows that there's something in you that can survive every attack sent your way. And you gonna show up. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of times we shrink in rooms because our shrinkage ain't even about making ourselves feel better. It's about making other people in the room feel better. You know what I'm saying? And making sure that people don't think what we know so many other people think.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, let me quiet down so they won't think I think I'm. You know what I'm saying? And I think we do so that. So what does making the decision to never shrink in a room, what does that even look like? When you say, you know what, I'm making a decision, this is going to be my last time ever shrinking in a room. What does that even look like, making that decision?
I don't know. I would say initiating. For me, it would be sitting at a full table and initiating conversation.
What you mean?
Like, for me to go into the room and not go to the empty table. To go to the table where people are already established, or people are already sitting,
I see what she's saying.
and initiate a conversation. You know, that's what naturally, that's what it would look like for me, just to go ahead and just pull at it like you qualified to be in this room.
You got it.
You qualified to be in this room. Like you're lacking nothing. You can sit at the table with the rest of them, and you can handle.
And you hold your own.
And you can hold your own weight. You don't need a familiar face. You don't need any of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess for me, that's what it would be. It would be going to that table, you know, that people are already sitting, and initiating a conversation.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I went to Pauletta one time when I was very fearful and asked for advice. You gave me 3 powerful words, and I didn't want them, so I went to Lynn too and hoped that I got something different. So
And I didn't
I didn't want them. You told me just do it. Just do it. And then I went to Lynn and said, well, how I get over this fear and how do I overcome? She said, just do it. And
wow.
I didn't want to hear that, but those 3 words, because when someone, you know, when you told me, you know, I've seen you overcome fear, and I'm like, me? I've overcome fear. But when I think about it, yeah, fear has been there, but I'm no longer a slave to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like me just doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I still a lot I got to just do, but keep showing up and just doing it. Like, even though I feel like I just don't, the more I show up, the more I get it, the more it makes sense.
That's
So
good.
those 3 words have been the what changed the trajectory. Trajectory.
I got it. Trajectory. I got trajectory.
Say the pathway.
I got you.
Say the pathway.
Trust me, I got you.
I said that word 2 weeks ago, and it blessed me because I said it well. But this time, it got me.
We got
For
you.
the trajectory of my life, it has.
Bam.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Just
That's it.
Because sometimes we looking for something like, yeah. And it's like, just do it.
Right.
Listen, what I will say is, when you were talking, Queasy, what dropped in my shondo was
Okay.
was what dropped in my shundo was guard your heart.
Wow.
Don't gatekeep.
There's a difference.
Guard it. Don't gatekeep.
Don't gatekeep it. That's good.
Guard it. Yeah, you be cautious and you be careful. But once you see that it's safe, release yourself as a resource.
Wow.
And don't deny people the
And
blessing
don't
of
deny
who
people.
you are.
Come on,
Don't deny people the blessing of who you are.
because
Oh,
we
man.
gatekeep.
Yes,
You're
we
right.
do. Yes, we do. That's so good. Well, you are. You see, I didn't even take a break
Uh-oh.
because it was just such a flow today. So, June, come on and give us our question of the week.
Question of the week is, how committed are you to showing up authentically in love and life?
I was okay with that question if it had just had life.
Life.
in it.
That love kind of threw me
Yeah,
off.
added that love in
I
there.
don't know
How
about all
are
that
you?
love.
I started
Showing
shrinking.
up authentically.
In love and life. Come on.
You know, we continue the conversation after the conversation on all of our social media platforms. So we thank you all for joining us today and catch us next Thursday in the live.